Good morning, cadets. We have learnt isothermal process and calculated the work done. Okay. Then isothermal process is the one wherein the internal energy of the process does not change. Internal energy of the system does not change. Change in internal energy is zero. Therefore, entire heat supplied delta Q is utilized for doing work. So that is isothermal process, and we have calculated isothermal expansion as well as isothermal compression. So during the isothermal expansion, you have learnt there is a work done. When the heat is absorbed, positive work is done. So the work is done by the system on the surroundings. During the isothermal compression, negative work is done. Work is done on the system, on the gaseous system. When the work is done on the gaseous system, it is taken as negative, and as a result, delta Q is negative. Means heat is released to the surroundings. This is how we concluded the isothermal process. Now we will learn about adiabatic process. Adiabatic thermodynamic process is the process wherein there is no exchange of heat from the system to the surroundings or from the surroundings to the system. The entire gaseous system is insulated from the surroundings. When the entire gaseous system is insulated from the surroundings, delta Q, heat supplied to the system or heat released from the system to the surroundings is zero. So that's how we write in an adiabatic process. The system is thermally insulated from the surroundings. And heat absorbed or released. Heat absorbed or released to the surroundings is zero. That is delta Q is equal to 0. So from the first law of thermodynamics, if delta Q is 0, then delta U plus delta W is equal to 0. Delta W plus delta U is equal to 0 using first law of thermodynamics. This implies delta W is equal to minus of delta U. Delta W is equal to minus of delta U. When there is no exchange of heat, either heat is neither absorbed nor released, then delta Q is 0. Then delta W is equal to minus delta U. Means when the work is done by the system on the surroundings, then delta W is positive. When positive work is done, then there is a decrease in internal energy. When there is a decrease in internal energy, temperature of the system decreases. This implies when work is done by the system on the surroundings, then internal energy decreases. It means during adiabatic expansion, the internal energy of the system decreases, temperature of the system decreases. In the reverse process, when the work is done on the system by the surroundings, then delta W is negative. When there is adiabatic compression, that process is called as adiabatic compression. During adiabatic compression, work is done on the gaseous system by the surroundings, then work done is negative, then delta U becomes positive. So during adiabatic compression, internal energy increases. When the internal energy increases, temperature increases. Here, when the internal energy decreases, it implies temperature decreases. This is happening during adiabatic expansion. During adiabatic compression, reverse thing takes place. Internal energy increases, temperature increases. So this is what we are going to see by calculating the work done during adiabatic process. So for calculation of work done, we need to know what is the equation of the state for adiabatic process. So we calculate calculation of work done W in an adiabatic process. The equation of the state for adiabatic process. Directly we are taking, there is no proof for this. We are going to learn the proof of this equation of state in the higher classes. PV raised to gamma, PV raised to gamma equal to constant. PV raised to gamma is equal to constant. Whereas in the case of isothermal process, PV is equal to constant, right? In the case of adiabatic process, PV raised to gamma is constant, where gamma is the ratio of specific heats. Gamma is equal to ratio of molar specific heats, Cp by Cv. Molar specific heats. Ratio of molar specific heats at constant pressure to the molar specific heat at constant volume. So we have learned previously there are two types of molar specific heats. When the pressure is kept constant, we call it as molar specific heat at constant pressure. When the volume of the gas is kept constant, then we call it as molar specific heat at constant volume. When we take the ratio Cp by Cv, then it becomes a constant. That ratio is denoted by gamma. This is gamma. So gamma is Cp by Cv. So in the equation of state, we write PV raised to gamma equal to constant, where gamma is equal to Cp by Cv. Now, when the state goes from P1 V1 T1 to P2 V2 T2, when the thermodynamic state goes from P1 V1 T1. Now three thermodynamic state variables are there: P1 V1 T1 to P2 V2 T2, P2 V2 T2. We got the state equation PV raised to gamma equal to constant. PV raised to gamma equal to constant implies This implies P1 V1 raised to gamma equal to P2 V2 raised to gamma equal to constant. So this is the equation to be remembered. P1 V1 raised to gamma is equal to P2 V2 raised to gamma. Since P1 V1 equal to P1 V1 raised to gamma equal to constant, so P2 V2 raised to gamma is also equal to constant. Therefore, the right hand side is same. P1 V1 raised to gamma is equal to P2 V2 raised to gamma. This becomes the equation of the state. So this helps us to calculate the work done. Okay. Now we will calculate the work done as we have done in the previous case. The small work done during the intermediate step dW is equal to integration dW is equal to PdV. dW is equal to PdV. Using that, we will be able to calculate the total work done. So as we have done previously, we have work done dW, small work done dW is equal to PdV. So total work done W is equal to definite integral of PdV from V1 to V2, where V1 is the initial volume and V2 is the final volume. Right? Now we will substitute what is the value of P. We have state equation PV raised to gamma equal to constant. So this implies what is P? Therefore, P is equal to constant divided by V raised to gamma. Take this V raised to gamma to the right hand side, it becomes P equal to constant divided by V raised to gamma. Now we will substitute. Therefore, W becomes equal to integral V1 to V2 constant by V raised to gamma, that is the P value, V raised to gamma into dV. Now we can integrate 1 by V raised to gamma into dV by keeping the constant outside. Now we will apply the same equation which we have used. See here, integral of 1 by x raised to n dx is equal to integral of x raised to minus n dx. So integral of x raised to minus n dx can be written as x raised to minus n plus 1 divided by minus n plus 1. Standard formula. We are using this standard formula. So using this standard formula, I can write this constant into V raised to minus gamma plus 1, V raised to minus gamma plus 1 divided by minus gamma plus 1 between the definite integrals V1 and V2 volumes. Take out this minus gamma plus 1 to the left hand below this constant outside the bracket. So constant divided by 1 minus gamma. Conveniently you can write 1 minus gamma into V raised to minus gamma plus 1. V raised to minus gamma plus 1 can be written as V2 raised to minus gamma plus 1 minus V1 raised to minus gamma plus 1. V2 raised to minus gamma plus 1 minus upper limit, now lower limit, V1 raised to minus gamma plus 1. Now we can substitute what is the value of constant. Constant value can be substituted using the previous equation. We know that P1 V1 raised to gamma equal to P2 V2 raised to gamma. We got P1 V1 raised to gamma equal to P2 V2 raised to gamma is equal to, the product always remain constant. So we'll make use of this equation. Where V2 is there, we'll use P2 V2 raised to gamma, P2 V2 raised to gamma, and where V1 is there, we'll write, we'll multiply it by constant, that is P1 V1 raised to gamma. Means I am taking this constant inwards inside the bracket. I am multiplying this constant inside the bracket. Right? I think you got the point. So I write here 1 by 1 minus gamma. So this constant multiplied by this, constant multiplied by this, I am multiplying constant by P2 V2 raised to gamma. P2 V2 raised to gamma into V2 raised to minus gamma plus 1. V2 raised to minus gamma plus 1. Minus, again constant multiplied by this. Constant, now I am taking P1 V1 raised to gamma, so that simplification becomes easy. P1 V1 raised to gamma multiplied by V1 raised to minus gamma plus 1. Now it becomes easy. V2 raised to gamma minus gamma, it becomes V2 raised to 0, that is 1. You are left with only V2 raised to 1. So P2 V2. So it becomes P2 V2. Minus, here also, V1 raised to gamma minus gamma. Gamma minus gamma becomes 0. So it becomes V1 raised to 1. V1 raised to 1 is V1 itself. So now I can write on simplification. Therefore, 1 by 1 minus gamma equal to P2 V2 minus P1 V1, that's it. P2 V2 minus P1 V1. Now, we will rewrite this equation. This is the equation for work done. This will not give us complete picture. We will express this in terms of the temperature using the ideal gas equation. We know that ideal gas equation states that PV is equal to mu RT. PV is equal to mu RT. So P1 V1 is equal to mu RT1. P2 V2 equal to mu RT2. P1 V1 equal to mu RT1. P2 V2 equal to mu RT2. We will substitute that and then simplify, so that we will get the entire equation in terms of temperature. That will be easier to understand, so that we can relate the work done with the change in temperature. Whether temperature increases or decreases can be verified by substituting PV product equal to mu RT using ideal gas equation. Using ideal gas equation, that is PV equal to mu RT. When the system goes from P1 V1 T1 to P2 V2 T2, then when the system goes from P1 V1 T1 to P2 V2 T2, the ideal gas equation becomes P1 V1 equal to mu R T1 and P2 V2 equal to mu R T2. Substituting these equations in the equation of work done. Substituting in the equation of work done, W. we get W is equal to 1 by 1 minus gamma into mu r T2 minus mu r T1, mu r T2, P2 B2 equal to mu r T2, P1 B1 is equal to mu r T1. Now one more thing we need to note here, very important thing. The gamma is always greater than 1. Cp by Cv is always greater than 1 because for a gas, for an ideal gas, Cp minus Cv is gas constant. Cp minus Cv is gas constant, that is more than 8.314 joule per kg, joule per mole per degree Celsius. Universal gas constant, if you remember, 8.314 joule per mole per Kelvin. Therefore, gamma is since greater than 1, so 1 minus gamma becomes negative. So we'll do it. We'll take this mu r T1 to the left hand side, mu r T2 to the right hand side. So that multiplying through by negative sign, we get 1 by gamma minus 1. 1 by gamma minus 1 becomes mu r T1 minus mu r T2. Since gamma is always greater than 1, because gamma here Cp by Cv is greater than 1 for any gas. It is always greater than 1 because Cp minus Cv is equal to R. This also you can note down. Cp minus Cv is equal to universal gas constant R, 8.314 joule per mole per Kelvin. Right? Therefore, rearranging the terms, we get 1 upon gamma minus 1. Multiply this one with negative sign, we get mu r T1 minus mu r T2. Now, take out this mu r. You are left with mu r upon gamma minus 1 into bracket T1 minus T2. So, this is the work done. Total work done. In an adiabatic process. In particular, it is an adiabatic expansion, right? When there is an expansion of the gas from V1 to V2 adiabatically without absorbing the heat. When there is an expansion of gas without absorbing the heat, it is called as adiabatic expansion. Then you will note down that positive work is done. Positive work is done by the system, gaseous system on the surroundings. So when the positive work is done, from this equation, T1 should be always greater than T2. Means initial temperature before expansion must be greater than final temperature after expansion. Means during adiabatic expansion, the temperature of the system decreases from T1 to T2. Temperature of the system decreases from T1 to T2 because work done is positive, and thus internal energy of the system decreases. When temperature decreases means there is a decrease in internal energy. This is the process called as adiabatic expansion. Thus, during adiabatic expansion, work done is positive. This implies T1 must be greater than T2. That is, T2 is less than T1. Final temperature is less than initial temperature. Therefore, during adiabatic expansion, there is decrease in temperature. Decrease in temperature. So, decrease in temperature implies there is decrease in internal energy. Therefore, during adiabatic expansion from V1 to V2, there is decrease in internal energy. And thus there is decrease in temperature. What happens during adiabatic compression? During adiabatic compression, just the reverse takes place. During the adiabatic compression takes place by work done by the surrounding on the gaseous system. The piston is pushed inwards. When the piston is pushed inwards, work is done by the surroundings on the gaseous system. As a result, adiabatic compression takes place without any exchange of heat. As a result, what happens? Initial temperature will be lower than the final temperature. So, final temperature will be greater than initial temperature. So, work done is negative. It implies T1 will be less than T2. So, that is T2 will be greater than T1. This is happening during adiabatic compression. Thus, during adiabatic compression, work done is negative, less than 0. This implies T1 must be less than T2. T1 must be less than T2. That is, final temperature T2 must be greater than T1. Thus, temperature increases. Temperature increases. Therefore, we can conclude. Therefore, during adiabatic compression, there is increase in internal energy. Just compare this with what happened during isothermal process. In isothermal expansion, when the temperature was constant, work is done by the system of the surroundings. Work done is positive, so temperature increased. There is increase in internal energy. During isothermal compression, work is done on the system, so work done is negative. When the work done is negative, there is a increase in temperature. There is yes, just the reverse. There is decrease in temperature. There is decrease in temperature. During isothermal expansion, there is increase in temperature. During isothermal compression, there is decrease in temperature. Just the reverse. Okay. So you should not get confused. You must remember the equation of work done for adiabatic process as well as the isothermal process. These are very important. Okay. Thus, adiabatic process is the one where there is no exchange of heat. Delta Q is equal to 0. So from the first law of thermodynamics, if delta Q is equal to 0, delta W plus delta U is equal to 0. Therefore, delta W is equal to minus of delta U. There itself we get the result. Delta W is equal to minus delta U. Minus delta U. So when the work done is positive, there is a decrease in internal energy. When the work done is negative, there is decrease in internal energy. Okay, these are the important isothermal, important thermodynamic processes. Now, two more thermal processes are there. Two more thermodynamic processes. They are isochoric process where the volume is kept constant, and isobaric process where the pressure is kept constant. Okay, we will write the equation for them also for the work done, and this can be done with the help of first law of thermodynamics. Isochoric process. Isochoric process is the one wherein the volume of the gaseous system is kept constant. The piston is neither allowed to move up nor allowed to move down. It is having fixed volume. So when the volume is kept constant, then work done during isothermal process, work done during isochoric process is 0. Delta W is equal to P delta P. When change in volume, see, when volume is kept constant, change in volume is 0. So change in volume is 0 implies work done is 0, because change in volume is 0. So work done is 0. Using the first law of thermodynamics, you can see no work is done. Entire heat supply is utilized for increasing the internal energy. Using first law of thermodynamics, delta Q is equal to delta U plus delta W. Since delta W is 0, therefore this implies delta Q is equal to delta U. So it means the entire heat absorbed or supplied is utilized in increasing the internal energy. Increasing the internal energy. That is increasing the temperature. Is utilized in increasing the temperature. So in this case there is no expansion, there is no compression, because volume is kept constant. Therefore, during isochoric process, the entire heat absorbed is utilized in increasing internal energy. Okay. Now the last one is isobaric process. Isobaric, as I said yesterday in the previous video, pressure P is constant. When the thermodynamic process takes place with constant pressure, then it is called as isobaric process. Any heating that takes place kept open to atmosphere. For example, cooking any item, any food stuff, open without closing the lid, open to atmosphere, is example of isobaric process, where pressure is kept constant. Then work done. Delta W is equal to P delta P. If the volume increases from V1 to V2, if there is expansion from initial volume V1 to final volume V2, then change in volume becomes final volume minus initial volume. Therefore, total work done can be calculated as P into V2 minus V1. So this becomes the work done. Therefore, heat supplied using first law of thermodynamics, heat supplied or heat absorbed by the system, heat supplied to the system, delta Q is equal to partly goes in increasing the internal energy plus goes in doing the work done, P delta P. So this is how we write the thermodynamic equation, the first law of thermodynamics for isobaric process. Then the last one is cyclic process. The cyclic process is the one wherein the gaseous system returns back to its initial thermodynamic state variables. If initial thermodynamic state variables are P1, V1, T1 and final thermodynamic variables are P2, V2, T2. Cyclic process is the one wherein the ideal gas is taken from P1, V1, T1, P1, V1, T1 to P2, V2, T2, then again taken back from P2, V2, T2 to P1, V1, T1. So there will be two expansions and two compressions. How is it done can be understood using the PV graph, cyclic process. P versus V. Okay. Suppose the initial point is represented by some point A having values P1, V1, T1. So first expansion takes place, isothermal expansion. So during this isothermal expansion, what happens? You will get a isotherm. This is called PV diagram for PV graph for isothermal process. It is called as isotherm, where temperature T1 remains constant. So here it is taken from P1, V1, T1 to some other value, say P1 dash V1 dash T1. P1 dash V1 dash T1. So to make it better clearly, it is an expansion. Yes. So this is the isothermal expansion. From here P1 V1 P1 dash V1 dash T1 dash, it is taken to P2 P2 by a process called as adiabatic expansion. A, this one I write as B. This corresponds to final state P2, V2, T2. P1 to P2, P2, V2, T2. This is adiabatic expansion. And here, now we want to return back to the initial state. So gas has to be compressed from V2 to V1. It has expanded from V1 to V1 dash, V1 dash to V2. Now it has to be compressed back from V2 to V1 back. So in this process we get isothermal compression. Isothermal compression. Isothermal compression. So in this isothermal compression, we see temperature T2 remains same, whereas the pressures are changing from P2 dash, V2 dash, and the temperature T2 remains same. So this is D. Again from D, further compression takes place, that is called as adiabatic compression. So this is how the graphs are drawn, with two isothermals and two adiabatics. So this I can write here. Isothermal expansion. This is adiabatic expansion. This is isothermal compression. Isothermal compression, and this is adiabatic compression. Adiabatic compression. You can just note down here. Here temperature T1 is constant. Here temperature decreases from T1 to T2 during adiabatic expansion. So Q is constant. So here no exchange of heat. So delta Q is 0. Delta Q is 0 means what? Q is constant during adiabatic expansion. Again, what happens during the isothermal compression? T2 remains constant. T2 constant. But there is a compression from V2 value to V2 dash. T2 remaining constant. Isothermal compression. Now, finally, adiabatic compression from V2 dash to P1. So, during this adiabatic compression, there is no exchange of heat again. Delta Q is 0. So Q is constant. So this process is called as cyclic process. So cyclic process is a thermodynamic process in which you will find isothermal expansion followed by adiabatic expansion, then isothermal compression followed by adiabatic compression. Two isothermals and two adiabatics. So in the cyclic process, two isotherms and two adiabatic processes. Taking P1 B1, P1 to P2 B2, T2 during expansion, and again from P2 B2 T2 it is taken back to P1 B1 T1. So this is called as cyclic process. So in any heat engine, such a cyclic process is involved, right? Heat engine is the engine which converts heat energy into mechanical energy. So the heat engine involves the cyclic process of the thermodynamic processes, cyclic thermodynamic processes, wherein isothermal expansion followed by adiabatic expansion takes place, then isothermal compression followed by adiabatic compression takes place to take the ideal gas, the fuel ideal gas, back to its initial state variables. Okay, we'll discuss it in the next video. Thank you. Have a nice day.